Have you ever noticed that some people almost never show up on their own social media? No selfies, no party pictures, no outfit of the day. While most people display moments of their lives as if social media were a public shop window, these individuals prefer to remain discreet, almost invisible in the digital crowd. But this absence isn't random. Psychology shows that this kind of behavior reveals a lot about their personality, level of self-confidence, and even their emotional balance. Behind that visual silence lies a surprisingly revealing psychological pattern. 1. Reserve as a personal value. For many of these individuals, staying discreet is less about social discomfort and more about cultivating a deliberate sense of personal reserve. They treat their private life as something valuable, something that shouldn't be placed on display for the world to consume. This doesn't stem from insecurity, in fact it's usually the opposite. They understand that not everything needs an audience and that some experiences are richer when kept intimate. By choosing what to share and what to protect, they maintain a healthy separation between their public behavior and their inner world. This separation allows them to feel grounded and in control, rather than swept up in the constant pressure to perform or impress. This preference for privacy is also tied to a desire for autonomy. When they control what parts of their life become visible, they avoid the subconscious influence of outside opinions. They don't want to shape their lifestyle around what others might think, nor do they want their decisions to be guided by social validation. By limiting exposure, they protect themselves from the emotional noise that often comes with public scrutiny, judgment, comparison, and unsolicited feedback. Their goal isn't to hide, it's to maintain ownership over their narrative. They recognize that privacy is a form of power, and they wield it intentionally. Meanwhile, many people feel pressured by social media norms, almost as if documenting everything is a requirement. Birthdays, meals, new outfits, daily routines, everything becomes content. But those who choose discretion don't feel the same obligation. They don't experience fear of missing out when they keep parts of their life offline, because their satisfaction doesn't come from external acknowledgement. What others see or don't see simply isn't a priority. They feel no need to prove they're enjoying life or accomplishing things. Instead, they draw fulfillment from the actual experience, not the digital record of it. Ultimately, this selective sharing reveals a deeper layer of emotional maturity. It shows an ability to set boundaries, resist social pressure, and remain connected to one's own emotional needs. These individuals understand that constant exposure often leads to overstimulation, comparison, and unnecessary stress. By choosing discretion, they protect their mental clarity and emotional stability. They live by the principle that privacy isn't about hiding, it's about preserving what matters. And in a world where everyone is encouraged to share everything, the ability to hold some things back is a sign of strength, not silence. 2. Clarity about who they are. People who rarely post on social media often display a strong sense of identity, something psychology calls self-concept clarity. This means they have a stable understanding of who they are, what they stand for, and where they want to go in life. Their core values aren't easily shaken by trends or external expectations because their inner compass is already well defined. Instead of turning to online approval for reassurance, they lean on their own internal judgments. This grounded sense of self makes it unnecessary for them to constantly project an image or document every milestone. They know who they are even when no one is watching. Because their confidence is rooted internally, they feel little pressure to showcase accomplishments or curate a perfect online persona. They don't need to post a highlight reel to validate their progress or gain recognition. When they achieve something meaningful, the satisfaction comes from the accomplishment itself, not from how many people will double tap it. This mindset frees them from the exhausting cycle of needing visibility to feel valuable. Their self-worth isn't built on applause and therefore, it doesn't crumble when the applause isn't there. This independence from social validation allows them to live with more emotional freedom than those who rely heavily on approval. Another key aspect of self-concept clarity is resistance to comparison. People with a solid identity don't feel compelled to measure their lives against curated images online. They're fully aware that social media represents selective, often exaggerated versions of reality. Because they don't depend on external markers of success, they're less tempted to chase trends, mimic influencers, or adopt behaviors that don't align with who they truly are. Instead, they invest energy into their own path, whatever that path may look like, without feeling the need to fit into the digital mold of perfection. Ultimately, their self-esteem is internal, stable, and self-sustained. It doesn't rise and fall based on likes, comments, or the shifting standards of online culture. Before continuing, if you are a content creator or want to start making money on YouTube, check out Gia Media, they take care of everything for you, including scripting, editing, titles, and thumbnails. It's 16 videos per month for only $480. You just bring the idea, and they grow your channel for you. If you're interested, leave a comment and I'll send you the link. 3. Emotional security and social independence. There is also a strong element of emotional stability at play here. People who rarely show their face online tend to carry a quieter, more grounded form of confidence. One that doesn't need an audience to feel real. They don't rely on posting photos to validate their happiness, attractiveness, or success, nor do they feel compelled to present a polished version of themselves to the world. Instead, their self-assurance comes from an internal foundation rather than constant external reinforcement. This absence of performative behavior reflects a deeper, more secure emotional landscape, one that isn't easily shaken by the shifting opinions of others. Moreover, emotionally stable individuals do not experience the pressure to display joy or achievement for others to witness. While many people use social media as a stage to signal accomplishments or project an idealized lifestyle, those with this quieter confidence prefer to invest their time in real, tangible goals, studying, working, creating, or building something meaningful. They don't see themselves as characters in a digital performance. They view themselves as individuals whose actions and results speak louder than curated images. This shift in focus frees them from the exhausting cycle of online validation and allows them to live with far more authenticity. Another significant factor is that by avoiding the impulse to show themselves constantly, these individuals maintain more genuine relationships. Because they are not preoccupied with likes or online recognition, their connections tend to be based on real interactions rather than superficial digital exchanges. They invest in conversations that matter, in shared experiences, and in the presence of people who genuinely care. 4. Deep thinkers, not digital performers. Another trait commonly observed in these individuals is their clear preference for genuine communication over digital performance. People who rarely post pictures tend to be far more intentional with what they share, choosing quality over frequency. They publish something only when it carries real meaning, adds value, or aligns with their inner standards, not because of pressure, habit, or trends. This behavior reflects what psychology calls an internal locus of evaluation. Instead of seeking validation from likes, comments, or algorithms, they measure their actions based on their own principles. Their online presence becomes a reflection of authenticity rather than a quest for approval, which naturally creates a healthier and more grounded relationship with social media. They also possess a heightened awareness of how easily social media manipulates perception, often portraying exaggerated versions of happiness, beauty, and success. Because they don't participate in this constant showmanship, they sidestep the emotional traps that come with it: comparison, insecurity, and the feeling of needing to keep up with an idealized standard. By staying selective in what they share, they protect their mental space from unrealistic expectations and from the pressure to compete with illusions. This restraint becomes a form of emotional self-care, allowing them to remain focused on what's real, meaningful, and aligned with their true identity rather than the filtered world presented by others. So, the next time you notice someone who rarely appears in their social media photos, don't jump to conclusions. It doesn't mean they're withdrawn, awkward, or disconnected from the world. In fact, they might be someone with strong emotional self-control, a clearer sense of identity, and a more critical understanding of the digital environment. These people don't need to be seen to feel seen. And in many cases, that's a powerful sign of inner confidence. If you enjoy content that uncovers the deeper patterns behind human behavior, keep following along. Here we don't just look at people, we understand their minds.